Hello. If you're watching this, you missed our second day lecture of week 2 computer science principles. Let's get to it. So we had a short warm-up, and then we talked about any questions you guys had with traversals practice. So if you have any, please email them to me, and I'll be happy to respond to you. And then we moved on to our traversals make assignment. We started off with this rather complicated warm-up. I can't show it to you, but on Nearpod you can see it. And basically the question was, let's say instead of a single array, I gave you what is called a double array. You can see it up here. This is an array, but every entry inside that array is also an array. A lot going on there. How would one iterate through such a structure? And the answer is you need to use 2 loops instead of 1. The outer loop would iterate through each of the elements in the outer array, and the inner loop, a nested loop, would then iterate through each individual member of the smaller arrays. Very tricky stuff. So ultimately, this is a more interesting, more complicated kind of traversal that you might face in the future class. You do not need to know how to do that for this class, but it is something you could totally figure out. Nothing too crazy there. Next, I asked you guys how you felt about the material so far. You can email me if you want to let me know if you're struggling, and we can set up some time to meet, and I can help you get caught up. Now, we need to review these 3 major concepts: sequencing, selection, and iteration. These things are going to keep coming up. We talked about them semester 1. You cannot forget about them semester 2. Sequencing, remember, is all commands in a programming language need to have a structured order to them so that one happens after the other. If you don't have that, you don't have a working language. Next, you have some kind of selection ability. That is to say, your code can pick branching paths down which it would like to go. We do this using if statements. There's also other things like switch statements we might discuss later that do this. And lastly, iteration allows you to repeat some kind of instruction over and over again. In our case, we use loops. You need to remember these 3 concepts moving forward. Now, the main assignment. This is what is due next week, Wednesday the 17th. We will work on it next class as well a little bit, although not the whole class. And the idea is to create an app that gives you a random forecast. Let's take a look at the assignment description here. This is posted on my MCPS under modules. There's a planning option and some example code that you can draw inspiration from. You do not have to fill these things out, although I highly recommend that you do. Down here is the rubric. You have to have inputs. You have to store variables and lists. You have to process the list somehow using a traversal. You have to have a function in there. Your output must be correct, your code should run without errors, and you should have comments, please. I'm so tired of taking off points for comments. All you need is 1 or 2 sentences above each function telling me what the function does, and then you're covered. That's all you need. Let's take a look at the code. So this is, of course, the 12th lesson of the 5th unit on code.org. The second button here contains a working example of this application. You can click forecast button, it'll give you a forecast from a random location. The third bubble is where you will be completing the assignment. If you click the data tab, there is the daily weather, which will contain up-to-date forecasts. This is automatically updated from some source, I'm not sure where. If you want to stay true to the assignment description and give me the forecast for tomorrow in the city, notice you will want to make sure you get the forecast number 2, as there are 5 listed for each place, and they're sequential. So the first day, second day, third day, fourth day, fifth day. Now, I won't take off points if you don't give me tomorrow, so long as you process the lists and understand how to do that. I'm happy. This is really an afterthought for me. But if you want to stay true to the assignment, that's how you would do it. If you have any questions or issues completing this, please make sure you email me, and I'd be happy to help you out. Otherwise, that's all I have to say to you, really. If you missed today, you also missed some Nearpod stuff and activities, so that's why it's so important that you actually come to our meetings, and I hope to see you in the future. Have a good rest of your day.